Your Excellency, the Governor General, Sir Colville Young, and Lady Young, my Lord Chief Justice and Justices of the Supreme Court, National Hero George Price, and I know, Mr. Price, you joined with the rest of us in welcoming into the Pantheon on this first Independence Day after his induction, the Honorable Philip Stanley Wilberforce Goldsmith, our second national hero. Honorable Leader of the Opposition and Mrs. Briceño, Honorable Ministers of the Cabinet, members of the National Assembly, Your Worship, the Mayor of Belize City and City Councillors, my Lord Bishop Doric Wright, the Right Reverend Bishop Doric Wright, Bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese, my Lord the Right Reverend Bishop Philip Wright, Bishop of the Anglican Diocese, Reverend David Goff, President of the Belize Honduras District of the Methodist Church, other members of the clergy, Your Excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the Consular Corps, special guests, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Belizeans. We are gathered once more in our most important annual ritual to celebrate the anniversary of our independence. And once more we do this significantly al fresco, under open sky, beside the green and turquoise Caribbean Sea, warmed by the rays of our tropical sun, but with the earth still wet from the morning rains of purification and renewal. We do this, in other words, fully astride our Belizean bounty, and in a rich native land, a land of perfect juxtapositions, where even when the heat is overpowering, it is always relieved by what Derek Walcott called the startling benediction of the breeze. We recognize, therefore, that there is much to be thankful for. Indeed, celebrations of our independence are celebrations of gratitude. Gratitude, for instance, to those past builders of Belize, whose sacrifices we never tire of learning about, whose examples never cease to inspire us. So on this day, we remember Johnny Smith and George Price and Philip Golson and Lee Richardson, the pioneer leaders of labor and the first generation of nationalist politicians. And then there is gratitude to the present builders of Belize, those from among whom we select a few annually to receive our national honors, and those who, for example, formed the coalition of democratic resistance, the teachers, the students, the housewives, the public officers, the merchants, the businessmen, that coalition of democratic resistance that in February of this year successfully confronted and closed the worst era of excess in our modern history. And finally, there is gratitude to the future builders of Belize, our young people who do so well in the arts, in culture, in science, in technology, our children and their monitors who are bringing back up those PSC scores and setting us once again on the road to excellence in education. Our celebrations this year also take place in the context of the new constitutional arrangements for the deepening of our democracy, the institutionalizing of the commitment to good governance, and the lifting up of the Belizean people. For these developments, for the national deliverance they represent, we are also grateful. And so today we celebrate and we are proud especially of this new democracy that ultimately unites us. Proud of the fact that on this day every year, government and opposition share center stage, proud that there is equal time given to the speech of the other mass party leader, proud of his right to say whatever he pleases, and it appears for as long as he pleases, and proud that that right is based immovably on the fact that in the end, he and I and all of us are Belizean to the bone, filled to bursting with love for this great country and its blessings and wonders and gifts from Almighty God. We stand tall, Belizeans, because we are the inheritors of the genes of 1798. And we are configured now not to shrink from any challenge, not to dodge any hardship, not to shirk any toil, and all in furtherance of a cause that transcends party, that transcends self, the cause of our beloved Belize. A week and a half ago, I was at a funeral in Orange Walk where the sermon was in Spanish, the eulogy in English, and the hymns in both. And all the Belizeans in that church, black and white and mestizo and Mayan and Asian, were following along and singing along. And then the priest urged all, notwithstanding the sadness of the occasion, to celebrate life which comes from God. And as I looked around at all those radiant faces in their various hues, I thought that God has outdone himself here in Belize, where life is multi-ethnic and multilingual and multicultural and an unparalleled example of unity in diversity. But if life is beautiful in Belize for so many of us, there are still too many of us for whom it is not. The incidence of poverty and marginalization, compounded now by the global food and fuel crises, is a reality from which there is no escape. And there can be little doubt that this is the major contributor to a horribly deformed security climate in which nihilists, nowhere men, can contemplate mass murder by grenade. Dealing with this crisis is a major preoccupation on this 27th anniversary of our independence. But I say again that it is the Baymen's blood that is in our DNA. And the legacy of 1798 is one of courage and resolve. Courage and resolve that have time and again been summoned forth at crucial moments in our nation's history. The 1930s and 40s, for example, saw the courage of the working classes resolve to embrace trade unionism as a means of confronting the social and economic issues of their time, despite the often violent reaction of the colonial order. Then in the 1950s, it was the courage of the nationalists that resolved to lead our country to freedom, despite threats, intimidation, imprisonment, and every manner of foul treatment. In every generation, it is thus clear, there arise the economic and political challenges that require the courage and resolve of our forebears, the spirit of 1719. Well, that spirit, revivified throughout our history and needed now, lives on. And it is that spirit that means once again we must get it right, once again we will get it right. I therefore yield to no pessimism on this day and admit of no force that can daunt the inheritance left us by those first settlers of the Bay. It is with every confidence then, and with every joy, that I say, happy birthday everyone, and long live Belize. Que viva la patria, que viva nuestra independencia, que viva Belize. Thank you.